We will begin with the starting screen where Cricket 24 clearly missing out on the official game of the Ashes tag. Maybe it's because they missed out on the deadline of the Ashes, but since we are not sure about that, we'll not speculate on it. But the lack of a cover player or a cover star like the Cricket 22 one where we have English and Australian skippers, that makes the Cricket 24 start menu looks a little bit dull compared to Cricket 22. So Cricket 22 gets a point on the opening screen graphic. When it comes to player faces, you'll see that Cricket 24 on the left smashes Cricket 22 out of the park. David Warner comparison, you can see that the face is much more realistic, it has more depth, the eyes look lively, the hair and beard physics are also wonderful compared to Cricket 22 where the player just looks lifeless. There's a definite upgrade on how the skin just shines through in Cricket 24 compared to the dry and almost wax-like player model in Cricket 22. Just to make sure that it is not one-off, we are going to show you one more comparison here, this time Stuart Broad with the headband. But once again, look at the difference, the skin, the depth on the face, everything is just awesome compared to Cricket 22, especially the hair physics. In Cricket 22 it looks like the player is wearing a wig, whereas in Cricket 24 it is much better. Mind you, it can still get better, but we are doing a comparison with Cricket 24 and 22, and 24 wins here hands down. When it comes to team selection and pre-match setting, you'll notice that Cricket 22 has gone for a whitish theme with brick design behind, but there is valuable real estate being wasted at the bottom. When it comes to Cricket 24, they have gone for a much more modern and slick darker design which is also easier on the eye, and they also use the space to maximum potential. At the start of the game, the camera will pan into the stadium and you'll see the national anthem and the players being lined up with the flags and also umpires down there. It's a beautiful moment which adds realism to the game. When it comes to Cricket 24, the national anthem is missing, and I've noticed that the national anthem only plays when you play important test matches. That is one change. Instead they will show you around the ground and then they'll take you to the pre-match scenes where the teams are shown on the screen. Once again, a darker design. When it comes to the players coming out in the middle, Cricket 22 performs all the little things neatly and there's nothing much to complain about here. When it comes to Cricket 24 though, the color obviously changes to a much darker tone. Players coming out charged up, running into the field. There's fireworks going on and you'll definitely see the improvement here. The graphics are much better, the pictures are sharper, the player models are sharper and much more accurate looking, and the grass is also looking much better compared to Cricket 22. A major issue with Cricket 22 is that it lacks any physical pitch deterioration, so even if you select a heavily cracked pitch, it will all show up similarly. Cricket 24 once again suplexes Cricket 22 out of the ring with this huge upgrade. You can see all the cracks, all the wear and tear, rough patches as the day progresses in Cricket 24, which makes for much more realism in the gameplay. Both the games lack collision detector, which is a huge disappointment, with players going through each other, going through the stumps and basically going through everything. Grounds are pretty decently done in both the games, but once again you will see that Cricket 22 is a bit lighter in color compared to Cricket 24, which is much more darker, which makes it for a much interesting and exciting viewing compared to Cricket 22. Licensed stadiums, especially in England and Australia, are done to perfection and it's a great joy playing in them, be it Cricket 22 or Cricket 24. The crowd once again are pretty similar in both these games, but in Cricket 22 they are more generic in nature and they do not support any of the team playing out in the middle. When it comes to Cricket 24, you'll clearly see fans supporting their teams with jerseys on the screen. When it comes to the cricket ball, the white kookaburra is much sharper and clearer looking on the right side Cricket 24. When it comes to basic gameplay, you'll notice that once again it's the lighting that makes all the difference. Cricket 22 is lighter and paler in comparison to Cricket 24 and makes for a brighter viewing, which might not be everyone's cup of tea, certainly not mine. Cricket 22 also lack a realistic broadcast camera, which takes away from the viewing pleasure. Cricket 24 with its darker tone is much more realistic and exciting to watch. The bowlers also run much more fluidly compared to Cricket 22, especially during the run-up. The recently introduced broadcast dynamic camera completely changed the way the game looks compared to Cricket 22, as it is now much more close to TV style presentation. The player models also look much more sharper in gameplay, just like it did in the player manager section. In Cricket 22, stumps would cartwheel away to the wicketkeeper every time it made contact with the stumps, which made for an exciting viewing but very repetitive and boring once it started happening every single time, even to the spinners. Cricket 24 solved this issue by adding some weight to the stumps. Now, in order to uproot the stumps, you need to hit the perfect spot with the perfect pace. So that's it guys, do leave your comment on which game do you prefer graphically and the reasons.